Imagine you're wearing the strongest armor in the world like you're a human tank. You've got a shiny metal suit, a sword, a big shield, and you're riding a huge war horse. You feel like you're basically invincible. Now imagine this. A group of farmers with sticks and rocks suddenly jumps out from the mountains and completely destroys your army. Sounds impossible, right? But it really happened. And it became one of the most shocking battles in history, the Battle of Morgarten, in the year 1315. And by the end of this story, you'll understand how about 1,500 Swiss farmers beat an army of about 9,000 powerful knights and soldiers even though they were outnumbered like crazy. Alright, so first, you need to know what was happening. A long time ago, Switzerland wasn't a country like it is today. It was just a bunch of small villages in the mountains. People lived there and worked hard every day. They cut wood, raised animals, and farmed. Life was tough. Winter was cold. The mountains were dangerous. But the people were strong because they had to be. Now, there was a very powerful family in Europe called the Habsburgs. They were rich and had lots of soldiers. They wanted to control more land, like a giant kingdom. And they looked at the Swiss villages and thought, we should own that place too. Why? Because Switzerland had something important, mountain roads. These roads were like shortcuts through the mountains. Merchants used them to carry food, gold, and supplies from one country to another. Whoever controlled those roads could make lots of money and have lots of power. So the Habsburgs tried to take control of the Swiss villages. But the Swiss people didn't want to be bossed around. They didn't want to pay extra taxes or follow rules made by some faraway duke. So the villages made an agreement. They basically said, if someone attacks one of us, we all fight together. That was a big deal, because normally farmers didn't fight back against powerful kings and knights. But the Swiss were done being pushed around. Now, the Habsburg leader, Duke Leopold, got angry. He decided, I'm going to march into Switzerland with my army and crush these farmers. And Duke Leopold wasn't coming with a small group. He brought a huge army, some people say around 9,000 soldiers, including knights. And knights back then were terrifying. They had strong metal armor, big swords, and trained war horses. They were like medieval superheroes. The Swiss only had around 1,500 fighters. That's like if 9 big school classes fought one small class. So Duke Leopold thought this would be easy. He probably imagined the Swiss farmers would run away screaming. But the Swiss had a plan. And this is where the story gets awesome. The Swiss knew they couldn't fight the knights in an open field. If the knights charged at them on horses, the farmers would get crushed. So instead, they chose a very smart place to fight. Near a place called Morgarten, there was a narrow path between a steep mountain and a lake. Think of it like a tiny hallway. On one side, a big mountain going up. On the other side, muddy land and water. And in the middle, a small road where soldiers had to walk in a long line. This was perfect for a trap. Because when an army walks in a long line, they can't spread out. They can't move easily. They can't turn around fast. They're stuck. And the Swiss hid above the road in the trees and rocks. They waited quietly. They didn't attack right away. They waited until the knights were fully inside the narrow path. And then, boom! The Swiss attacked from above. They rolled huge rocks down the mountain. They pushed logs down like giant bowling balls. They threw stones. The knights and soldiers were completely shocked. Their horses panicked. Some knights fell over. Some got crushed. Some got pushed into the mud near the lake. And remember, knights wore super heavy armor. So if they fell into mud or water, it was hard to stand back up. Some even drowned because their armor was too heavy. Then, after the rocks caused chaos, the Swiss farmers ran down and attacked. They didn't have fancy knight swords. They had farming tools turned into weapons. Axes, spears, big wooden clubs. And one of their best weapons was something called a halberd, which was like a long stick with an axe blade on it. It was perfect for pulling knights off their horses. Now imagine being a knight. You trained your whole life. You thought you were unbeatable. And suddenly you're stuck in a narrow path, your horse is freaking out, rocks are falling from the sky, and angry farmers are charging at you. That's basically what happened. The knights couldn't do their best move charging forward on horses because there wasn't enough space. So their biggest strength became useless. And once the soldiers started getting scared, the army began to fall apart. Some tried to run away. But that made it worse, because the narrow path became jammed, like a traffic jam. And in that confusion, the Swiss kept attacking. The powerful army of Duke Leopold collapsed. The Swiss farmers won. And this victory shocked everyone in Europe. Because back then, most people believed knights always win. Farmers always lose. But Morgarten proved something different. Smart planning can beat power. The Swiss didn't win because they were stronger. They won because they were smarter and used the mountains like a weapon. After this battle, the Swiss people became more confident. More villages joined their alliance. And slowly, Switzerland began to grow into a real country. So this battle wasn't just about winning a fight. It was about freedom. It was the moment the Swiss people showed the world. We might be small, but we won't be controlled. And that's the big lesson of Morgarten. Even if you're smaller, even if you're weaker, if you use your brain, work together, and choose the right moment, you can beat someone who looks unbeatable. So yeah, 1,500 farmers really did defeat thousands of knights. And it wasn't magic. It was strategy. It was teamwork. And it was the mountains. If you enjoyed this story, hit like and subscribe, because if you think farmers beating knights is crazy, wait until you hear what the Swiss did next, because this